Arsenal did not fly home after beating Sporting CP in Lisbon. They stayed overnight in Portugal because Portuguese airspace closed early that evening. That single logistical disruption reduced the preparation window for Saturday's Premier League clash against Bournemouth at the Emirates Stadium. That is where we are right now, not celebrating, not resting, managing. Think about what that means for a squad that is already navigating a season of enormous complexity, a 9-point lead at the top of the Premier League, a Champions League quarter-final first leg won, a cup double exit behind them, and now a fixture against a Bournemouth side that has lost just once in their last 11 Premier League games. The timing of that airspace situation was far from ideal, and it is the kind of detail that separates title-winning clubs from the ones that fall just short. The situation is one of controlled pressure. Arsenal are in a strong position on multiple fronts, but the margin for error is thinning with every passing week. The evidence suggests this club understands that. The players understand it. Riccardo Calafiori certainly understands it. Let us be clear about what is actually at risk here. Arsenal's lead at the top of the Premier League is 9 points. That sounds comfortable. But Manchester City are second and the two sides meet on April 19th. If Arsenal drop points against Bournemouth on Saturday, City could close that gap before the biggest game of the season. That is the reality for the club right now. It is also worth stating that Bournemouth are not a side to take lightly in this moment. They are 13th in the table, yes, but they are only 4 points behind 7th-placed Brentford. Their 11-game unbeaten run is their joint longest in Premier League history. They have won 2 of their last 3 league games against Arsenal. And last season, they came to the Emirates and won 2-1. These are facts, not opinions. This is a dangerous fixture, a dangerous time. And if that is not enough, there is an injury cloud hanging over Martin Ødegaard after he was substituted before full-time in Lisbon. The extent of that issue remains unclear, but his injury history this season means the concern is legitimate. If you want deeper analysis on stories like this, stories that connect the pitch, the dressing room and the transfer market into one clear picture, then hit that subscribe button right now. Melissa Arsenal Analyst is the channel that gives you the full story, not just the headlines. The Lisbon hangover and the Bournemouth challenge start with what happened in Portugal. Arsenal won 1-0. Kai Havertz scored in the 91st minute at Estadio José Alvalade. That result gave Arsenal a commanding first-leg lead in their Champions League quarter-final against Sporting CP. It came on the back of back-to-back cup defeats, the EFL Cup final loss and an FA Cup exit to Championship side Southampton. So the mood going into that game was tense. There was, as Arteta himself put it, a point to prove, and they proved it. They were disciplined, defensively compact, clinical when the moment came. But here is the detail that matters. They stayed overnight in Lisbon because Portuguese airspace closed early. They could not fly home when planned. That compressed their recovery and preparation time heading into Saturday. It is a small thing on paper. In a season this tight, small things are not small. Now look at the team's fitness situation going into the Bournemouth game. Bukayo Saka and Jurrien Timber are both hopeful of being available. However, both players are expected to be handled with caution and both could start on the substitutes bench even if declared fit. That tells you something important about where the squad management is right now. Arteta is not gambling with key players ahead of the Manchester City fixture on April 19th. He is protecting them while still keeping them involved. And then there is Odegaard. The concern around him is real. He impressed in the first half against Sporting, showing exactly what the team has been missing during his injury absences. But he was forced off before full-time. With the World Cup approaching and his injury history this season, there is understandable worry. The club will assess him carefully before making any decisions. But the situation is one that Arsenal fans should watch closely. Now to the Bournemouth game itself. Opta gives Arsenal a 72.2% chance of winning. Declan Rice has scored 5 Premier League goals against Bournemouth and been directly involved in 7, more than against any other opponent. 6 of those 7 involvements came in his last 8 appearances against the Cherries alone. He is the key figure Arsenal will look to in this game. For Bournemouth, Junior Krupi is the name to watch. He became the first teenager to score a Premier League penalty against Manchester United. He has 9 league goals this season. The last teenager to score 10 or more goals in their first Premier League season was Robbie Keane for Coventry City in the 1999-2000 season. Krupi is on the edge of that historic territory. The evidence suggests Arsenal are clear favourites, but the facts also suggest Bournemouth are more than capable of making this uncomfortable. Calafiori speaks, and he means it. Multiple quotes have emerged from Riccardo Calafiori following the Sporting win, and taken together, they paint a portrait of a player who has found clarity through difficulty. He said the last couple of weeks had been tough. He did not hide from that. but he called it the beauty of football. He said it is 100% better now. That is a player who processed a difficult period quickly and came out on the other side with renewed purpose. He also acknowledged his disappointment at missing the World Cup with Italy. He was honest about that, but he followed it by saying he has a lot to play for with Arsenal and that he is really enjoying it. That is a significant statement. This is a player whose national team situation could have broken his confidence or created a distraction. Instead, the evidence suggests it has sharpened his focus. On Arsenal's critics, Calafiori was measured but clear. He said he does not think about it too much. He knows people love to speak about Arsenal. He acknowledged it is an obvious consequence of being a massive club with so much history. And then he said it does not change anything for him. That is not arrogance, that is mental stability. That is exactly the kind of temperament a team fighting on three fronts in April needs from its players. There is also a tactical dimension worth noting. One analyst made the point that Calafiori's role is essentially determined by Arteta's game plan. When Arsenal need to be compact and disciplined as they were against Sporting, he becomes a shutdown defender. When the game opens up, he becomes the creative forward-carrying threat that makes him Arsenal's most unpredictable attacking outlet. Against Bournemouth on Saturday, the expectation is that the more attacking version of Calafiori will return. The game context demands it. Champions League picture and potential semi-final opponents. Now step back from the immediate fixtures and look at the bigger picture in the Champions League. Atletico Madrid shocked Barcelona 2-0 at the Nou Camp in their quarter-final first leg. That result gave Atletico a 76% chance of advancing to the semi-finals, according to Polymarket data. Arsenal, following their 1-0 win over Sporting, sit at 93%. The implication is now clear. If both sides progress, Arsenal and Atletico Madrid could meet in the Champions League semi-finals. That is a significant prospect, and the history between these two clubs this season is relevant context. Arsenal defeated Atletico 4-0 in the Champions League phase in October. Goals from Gabriel Magalhaes in the 57th minute, Gabriel Martinelli in the 64th, and a brace from Victor Gyökeres in the 67th and 70th minutes completed a dominant performance. One analyst made the point that Arsenal have already beaten both Bayern Munich and Atletico comfortably this season. The argument being made is that knockout football is different, that the context changes everything, but that Arsenal are genuinely difficult to play against. No team will look at Arsenal as a side they can open up easily. That is an important observation. Arsenal under Arteta are not a team that concedes space cheaply. They are structured, they are disciplined, and when they are right, they are ruthless on the counter. The updated Polymarket probabilities across all quarter-final ties tell the full story. Arsenal are at 93%, PSG are at 87%, Bayern are at 85%, Atletico are at 74%. On the other side, Barcelona have fallen to 26%, Real Madrid sit at 15%, Liverpool are at 13%, and Sporting are down to 7%. The situation is that Arsenal are the favourites in this competition, not just a participant, the favourites. That is a statement of fact based on the available evidence. Transfer market, the summer business taking shape. Arsenal's summer transfer plans are starting to come into focus, and there are several threads to pull apart carefully here. First, the position they are prioritising. A new left-sided forward is a clear priority. That context matters because it shapes how you read every attacking transfer story connected to this club right now. Anthony Gordon has been identified as highly rated by Arsenal. The club have made left winger a priority position for the summer. This is confirmed information from the BBC's Sami Mokbel, who is a credible source on Arsenal matters. Gordon is not a rumour plucked from thin air. He is a name the club genuinely rates. Kavica Kvaratskhelia was explored as an option. Arsenal's recruitment team would have, by all accounts, been very keen on signing the PSG winger. However, PSG's position is completely clear. He is not for sale. Multiple sources with knowledge of the agents industry confirm this. PSG have bolted the door. There is talk of a price in the region of 180 million euros being floated as a theoretical figure, but the same sources who mentioned it described it as something that is simply not going to happen. The reality for Arsenal is that this avenue is effectively closed and the club is already looking at other attacking options. Jan Diomende of RB Leipzig is a name that has moved into serious territory. He is 19 years old. He has 11 goals and 8 assists this season. Arsenal have reportedly opened direct dialogue with his camp and are now leading the race ahead of Liverpool. The player reportedly favours a move to a club offering Champions League football That gives Arsenal a key advantage, particularly given the position they are in this season. This is a genuine pursuit, though still at an early stage. Luka Marquez, the 18-year-old left-winger from Sao Paulo, is another name Arsenal are tracking. German outlet Bild reported that Arsenal are leading the race for the versatile Brazilian, who can also play on the right wing and has Copa Libertadores experience. This is a longer-term investment profile rather than an immediate first-team signing, but it fits the club's approach to building for the future. Now to the defensive department. Arsenal are planning to sign a centre-back this summer, and two names are firmly in the picture. Jacobo Reymon is a 6'5" Spanish centre-back currently at Como. He came through Real Madrid's academy. Arsenal are described as really liking him and are stepping up their interest. Chelsea are also in the picture, and Real Madrid pose a threat to any deal. His contract runs until 2030, which means Como holds significant leverage. However, it is noted that the club may struggle to hold on to him if interest intensifies. Victor Valdepenas is a young Real Madrid centre-back whose interest has been confirmed by Fabrizio Romano. He made his senior debut for Real Madrid last December at 19 years old. He is earning strong reviews in the Spanish capital. Arsenal have been described as long-term admirers. Again, Real Madrid's involvement creates obvious complications. The situation is that Arsenal are looking to future-proof their defence. They are not just looking for a short-term solution. They want young, promising talent that can develop within Arteta's system over several seasons. On the right-back position, Tino Livramento of Newcastle United remains a long-term target for both Arsenal and Manchester City. He is 23 years old and has suffered an injury-disrupted 2025-26 season, including a significant hamstring issue. He has 2 years remaining on his contract until June 2028. Extension talks have stalled. Newcastle would prefer to keep him, but missing out on European football could force them into difficult decisions on key assets. His valuation, fitness record and competition from Manchester City will all factor into any potential move. In midfield, Eduardo Camavinga of Real Madrid has been identified as a potential target. Arsenal have made initial contact through CAA Stellar Agency. It is described as being at an exploratory stage. Real Madrid are reportedly demanding around €80 million for the 23-year-old Frenchman who joined from Rennes in 2021. Liverpool are also in the race. However, Camavinga himself wants to remain a regular starter at Madrid. This one is worth watching, but it remains at a very early stage and should be treated as no more than an emerging interest at this point. Martinelli, staying or leaving? Gabriel Martinelli is pushing to stay at Arsenal. A summer exit is currently not part of his plans. He wants to remain at the club, get back to his best form and prove himself next season. The situation is, however, that the final decision may not be entirely his. That is a significant qualification. It tells you that Arsenal's recruitment plans and the arrival of a new left winger could ultimately affect his position at the club. If Arsenal sign a player like Anthony Gordon or Yan Diomande for that left flank, the pathway for Martinelli in his natural position becomes narrower. The evidence suggests this is a situation to monitor closely throughout the summer. Martinelli has the desire to stay. The club has the power to decide otherwise. Right now, those two realities exist in tension, and how that tension resolves will be one of the defining storylines of Arsenal's summer. David Raya, the debate around Arsenal's number one. Two very different views on David Raya have emerged, and it is worth presenting both fairly. Former player Kenny Cunningham made the argument that Raya lacks the aura and physical presence of elite goalkeepers like Thibaut Courtois and Gianluigi Donnarumma. His specific concern was around commanding crosses, set pieces and long throw-ins. He made the point that the great goalkeepers take responsibility in those moments. His view is that Raya has the technical ability but not the dominating presence that truly elite keepers carry. On the other side, Darren Bent made the completely opposite argument following Raya's performance against Sporting CP. He said Raya should play every single minute from now until the end of the season. He called him outstanding. His position was simple and direct. Raya has earned the right to be the permanent starter and he should not be replaced by anyone. The reality for the club is that this debate is not new and it is unlikely to be settled by one strong performance or one analyst's opinion. What matters is what Arteta believes, and the evidence of selection over the course of this season will tell that story more clearly than any external commentary. Arteta's identity and the voices supporting. Two voices from Arsenal's recent past have spoken positively about Arteta this week, and their words add texture to the bigger narrative around this club. Jack Wilshere spoke about his time working with Arteta and said it was the first time he truly understood what managers mean when they talk about trusting the process. He said he could see it unfolding in front of him and that it inspired him. He described himself as genuinely grateful for Arteta. That is not a throwaway compliment. That is a man who has been inside the system, who has seen how the process works at close range and who came away from it with a deeper understanding of what leadership in football actually looks like. Wilshere also praised 16-year-old Max Dowman, saying that when a manager like Arteta at a club like Arsenal trusts a 16-year-old to come on and make a difference, it tells you everything about the quality of that player. That is a significant endorsement for a teenager who is clearly in Arteta's thinking. Tim Cahill, in a throwback clip from November 2020 after Arsenal's 1-0 win at Manchester United, defended Arteta against criticism from Roy Keane. His point was that Arsenal are progressing because there is an identity and a formula to the way they play, and that Arteta deserves a lot of praise for building that. The evidence suggests that those who have been closest to Arteta's work understand something that external critics often miss. This is a manager with a clear idea, a consistent method, and the trust of his players. That combination does not guarantee trophies, but it creates the foundation for them. Thierry Henry and the refereeing controversy. Thierry Henry spoke strongly about the refereeing decisions in the Barcelona versus Atletico Madrid match. He called a key decision shocking. He said the officials are not matching the level of the players. He described the officiating as slow, inconsistent and damaging to trust. He concluded that Barcelona and their supporters deserve better. The situation is worth noting in the context of Arsenal's own Champions League journey. As the Gunners advance deeper into this competition, the quality and consistency of refereeing becomes an increasingly important factor. Henry's comments reflect a wider frustration across European football, and they serve as a reminder that at this level, a single official's decision can change the course of a tie. Arsenal, as the team currently rated at 93% to reach the semi-finals, will need every decision to go their way when the margins are at their tightest. Pull back and look at the full picture. Arsenal are simultaneously managing a Premier League title race, a Champions League quarter-final, injury concerns around key players, and a summer transfer window that is already generating significant noise. Every thread of this story connects to the others. The Bournemouth game on Saturday is not just another fixture. It is the test of whether the mentality that produced the sporting performance can be maintained in a domestic context with reduced preparation time, a compressed squad, and the weight of expectation that comes with a 9-point lead. The Champions League picture is becoming increasingly exciting. A potential semi-final against Atletico, a side Arsenal already beat 4-0 this season, is a genuinely compelling prospect. But knockout football is unforgiving, and the evidence of this season shows that Arsenal know how to suffer when they need to. The transfer market situation is complex. Arsenal need a left winger. They have multiple options at various stages of exploration. Some are rumours, some are confirmed interests, and one, the Kvaratskhelia pursuit, is effectively closed. The right decisions in the summer will define whether this squad can compete for the biggest prizes on a consistent basis. And through all of it, the identity that Arteta has built at this club continues to hold. The players believe in it. Former players speak about it with genuine admiration. The system is functioning, the process is working. The reality for Arsenal right now is that they are in the best position they have been in for years. The challenge is to stay there. Every game from here until the end of May matters. Every decision matters. Every detail matters. Melissa, Arsenal analyst, will be with you for all of it. If this kind of in-depth, connected analysis is what you come here for, then make sure you are subscribed and have notifications turned on. There is a lot more of this season still to be written.